Welcome to round 3 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of October 4th. I'm Terri Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
We're moms of teens and young adults, and when it comes to parenting, we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But we're still waiting for that day when we'll reach the finish line and have no further need to lay down in a dark room with a wet rag over our eyes, worrying about something or other. Wednesday is complaint day here on Parenting Roundabout, and today we have a few complaints about recess time. Recess was the bane of my existence when I was a kid. I hated recess. I had none of the requisite skills for successful recess execution. I was not good on the bars. I was not good with the tetherball. I was not good at running. Physical activity in general was my weakest point in school. I was super good at the academics, and why can't we just stay in the classroom? Mm-hmm. So I would sit off to the side with a book and read, and then they would yell at me and make me go on the playground. It's like, I don't want to go on the playground.
Right.
I'm not good at this. Best time I ever had in recess, my aunt sent me a whole big box of stickers for some reason, and I sold them on the playground at recess and made myself some cash, and then I had to give it all back, and I got in trouble because you're not supposed to be selling things in recess, it turns out. Not a marketplace experience.
It wasn't an entrepreneurial opportunity.
Yeah, they squashed me like a bug. So I have very bad, plus which, when I was in elementary school, girls weren't allowed to wear pants. We all had to wear skirts. So you had to wear a pair of shorts under your skirt so that you could flip upside down on the bars at recess. It just seemed like a lot.
I had that, yeah.
I would prefer to just sit at my desk. Thank you very much. Anyway, but I think what we're supposed to be talking about here is recess, our kids' experiences of recess and how they felt about it. And I don't know that I talked to them about it that much. They maybe knew to keep away from that sensitive subject. I'm sure my son had problems from time to time with recess. And there's always the fight of, okay, if the kid acts up in the classroom, you take recess away. But recess is the thing they need to do to move and get all that stuff out so they can sit in the classroom. So no, you will not. And then that's a fun time in the IEPT meetings. And, he always had a paraprofessional, so I think the paraprofessional was out with him. And I doubt it was an extremely successful part of his day, but it might have been a nice movement break, at least. So I was always kind of, making sure that things were successul there, but hoping nobody said to me that they weren't. And I don't know what my daughter's situation was with recess at all. Isn't this awful?
Wow.
I was so on the detail with so many things, but this was sort of like, hope it's okay. Hope there's nothing wrong.
You're like, no news is good news.
Hope nobody says to me, your kid hit someone, or your kid tripped someone, or, somebody hit your kid. Not wanting that note home.
Right.
Hiding from recess, even as an adult. Recess. Catherine, how was recess for you? Your kids are athletic. They probably dug recess, right? They're probably out there swinging on the bars, throwing balls.
I guess. I mean, I think it was fine. I'm a little bit like you, Terri. I think it was fine, and I didn't hear major complaints or concerns. A funny thing about the school that my kids went to was the elementary school was that they had it was 2 schools in one building, right? Mm-hmm. So they went to a public charter school that was co-located with just a neighborhood elementary school, like a traditional neighborhood school. And, try as the teachers and adults might to integrate these 2 populations.
Did not work.
They would divide themselves up. I mean, they would play soccer and they would play one school against the other, or, they would play other games, whatever. They used to love, what's that game where grounders, where you're running around, you're close your eyes while you're on the playground equipment. They would play that, and they would play against each other. And so that was sort of like a weird, the parents and teachers were always trying to be like, you're all friends, you're all
right.
You're all not different from one another, whatever, but it
Not that worked.
the kids could see right through it. So, and they didn't always have the same schedule. Like sometimes they weren't out on the playground together.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were, there were lines drawn. So it was sort of funny that way.
What about you? What was your experience?
When I was a kid, I mean, I don't remember hating it or loving it. I definitely probably tried to read a book during recess, more than once, because I was not at all physically adept at anything. So, yeah, I mean, I don't remember it as being like awful, but I also don't remember, looking forward to it.
You're not traumatized by it, but
No, I'm not. Yeah.
me a little bit. But I'm over it now, as you can tell.
Yeah. How about you, Nicole? And you have the added perspective of being a teacher, too.
Yeah. So from a teacher standpoint, I hated it. I think.
Really? You didn't like the break and get the kids outside?
But you don't get a break. You have to watch them, right?
Well, first of all, like twice a week you do recess duty. So you're out there dealing with all their stuff, but you're always dealing with issues after recess. It's just, the problem with recess is that it's unstructured time, and kids need that, but it's very poorly supervised. Like to have that many kids running around like, it's just, it's, a recipe for disaster, and it always has been. I'm a big believer in providing kids with structured opportunities at recess and having like stations where kids can go to different places, because it is just, it's always, every day, every single day, your kids are coming in from recess and you're dealing with something happened on the playground. So it's needed, and kids do need that break. I just question how it's done, because this concept of just letting them run out and run free, there's too many kids. There's too many things that can go wrong, and it does. It always does. As a kid, I also hated recess, and I could keep up physically at recess. Like I certainly wasn't like the top of the, the top of the food chain, but I could do what the other kids were physically doing at recess, but I just hated it from a social point of view, because it was there's always some kind of drama with the girls, right? Like who's playing with who, and who asked who to be part of what, and then my daughter experienced that too. She hated recess. She had the same experiences. So there's these programs now in schools. Well, there's a bunch of organizations, and they go around to different schools, and they kind of get them set up with these, like I said, these kind of structured play opportunities. And, and it gives kids who maybe normally wouldn't be able to, or couldn't engage. It gives them a chance to have a meaningful, positive experience, because so many kids out there you see who are not engaged. They're, on the periphery, and it's, it's a sad and lonely time, because that's when it really comes to light, that your friend group is limited, or you don't have, you know what I mean? Like it's just fraught.
It really is.
And that was one of the things that I actually focused on. I was on the opposite end of the spectrum as you guys, because it was always, how is recess time? Because that was a gauge that for me, that was a gauge of their social.
Right.
What they were doing socially. Because in the classroom, it's a little bit different, right? It's more of a forced thing. But it was always, what did you do at recess? Who did you walk with? Who did you play with? And then my daughter, of course, she hated recess so much, she found other ways to entertain herself. So her and her friend would go into the bathrooms and fill up the sinks with water and flood the bathrooms. And
they were way ahead of this devious licks.
So yes, that's my thoughts on recess.
Do they usually just have like one person watching recess these days, or?
Yeah,
I don't remember who watched our recess, although there was always somebody there to yell at me and tell me to stop reading and go run around.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did they care?
There's usually 2 teachers on recess duty.
I know at my kids' school, they would have they would be paid, but they would be like parents who, earned a few extra dollars to stand around and watch them. And, that means they don't have any training or, not to throw a fellow parent under the bus, but, it's complicated, the social stuff and even the physical safety, like, are you allowed to climb that way or whatever,
They do get a little bit of training, but certainly it's very limited.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very... I think having parents is very questionable.
And I would be worried. I mean, if some kid was doing something or falling or something and I grabbed him and then somebody later is going to say, why did you touch that child? And it's like, well, but no, that's okay. Fine. Somebody else can do that. It seems so fraught. I'll go work in the library where I only have to worry about touching books.
Right.
There was this one lady at my daughter's school, actually, and she was pretty much my daughter's saving grace because she was the mother of one of the teachers. So they called her Miss Grandma, so Miss G, so Miss G for short. And she was just the sweetest lady. She was the sweetest lady. And the kids that, she just kind of always watched out for the kids that were struggling a bit or made a point to talk to them. And so she was kind of, she was the grandma on the playground. So it was very sweet.
Yeah, my kid's school had a grandma for a while too. She lived across the street from the school.
Yeah.
And she would do playground and other kinds of little duties, and they loved her.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So... I don't know. I think it has to be reimagined because it's like the way it is now. It's a free for all. It's Lord of the Flies out there, kids.
Yeah. Another reason why I wanted to just sit on the sidewalk with a book. It's okay. I'm fine over here. Y'all just go tear each other to shreds. I spent a lot of my time sitting off on the sidelines reading a book. I was just talking about it on Monday at the playground.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. Yes, nobody's going to throw a ball at your head. You're not going to fall off something and hurt yourself. Just quietly enjoy other people doing dangerous things.
Yeah.
On the page. Whilst you sit safe. That's my jam. I think I hear the bell ringing. Yeah. I think it's time for us to go back in. Nicole, you wanna end our little recess here?
Sorry. I was too busy thinking about all my recess trauma. Okay, that's it for today's round 3. And listeners, please share your experiences.
Yes.
With recess. Tune in tomorrow when we'll obsess about family heritage, and then on Friday to see what we've come up with for our Roundup picks this week. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back on the comments there, on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you will find us at Roundabout Chat.